All right, good morning, grade 12s, and welcome to yet another STEM Lockdown Digital School episode. Today we're going to be doing grade 12 life orientation, and my name is Sibusiso Masumbuka. I've got my details on the screen in case you guys want to get a hold of me. Thank you so much for all the feedback that I've received with regards to the work that we've done so far. Very, very exciting to see all of you guys that are joining us this morning. Thank you to all the learners that are tuning in on YouTube as well as the ones that are tuning in on the Zoom side. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be continuing with the development of the self and society. Yesterday, we looked at the human factors that cause ill health, accidents, crises, as well as disasters as well. We said that a lot of these lifestyle diseases or the illness that occurs amongst us as humans is because of the risky behavior in which we delve into our lives, whether it means that we're abusing alcohol, abusing substances such as drugs, um, and obviously driving under the influence of alcohol. That can all lead to accidents and other different types of human disasters that could occur. And we also mentioned that not only do these have a physical effect on us, but they have a psychological one as well as a social effect on us. And we also looked at some of the psychological, social, and religious factors and cultural practices and different knowledge perspectives that can be very, very difficult in us understanding our bodies. And I always said that there's an argument between culture, religion, as well as medicine. Just the idea of science as well. And a lot of the cultural and religious rituals that we perform, which are very important to our cultures and religions, can be very harmful to the body as well. So today we're going to be looking more into lifestyle diseases, and we're going to be looking at the most common ones, and we're going to look into detail as to how they affect us, how we can prevent them as well. We're also going to be looking at some of the lifestyle diseases as a result of poverty and gender imbalances, as we all know that, even though our constitution perpetuates the idea of equality, there's some people who do experience inequalities such as poverty and gender imbalances, and they can't necessarily get themselves out of it until the government actually does play its part. And then again, today I've got a physical education exercise for you guys because it's obviously even more fitting with today's lesson, because obviously we know that the more we look after our body and we exercise, then the more we're less prone into becoming ill. So thank you so much to all the people that are joining us. It's very good to see some familiar faces right again. But let's get into our lesson today, which is on, we're going to be looking at Unit 2, depending on the textbook in which you guys are using. And we're going to be looking at lifestyle diseases as a result of poverty and gender imbalances. But let's have a look at what lifestyle diseases are. And yesterday, you guys listed quite a few as well. It says here, a lifestyle disease is an illness that is linked to the way people live. It is a disease that can be prevented by changes in nutrition, so it can be changed in what we eat, our diet, the environment, how well we look after it. Like I said, during this COVID-19 pandemic time in which we live in, the environment has sort of had a breather because we're not polluting it as much as we normally do. And I think we should continue with this, and there should be interventions by the government to help us alleviate this. Um, it can also be prevented by your general lifestyle, like exercising, avoiding substance abuse, as well as the promotion of gender equality and the reduction of poverty. Some of these examples of lifestyle diseases are heart disease, strokes, obesity, osteoporosis, which is a bone disease that occurs when the body loses too much bone. Some form a cancer, hypertension, which is also known as high blood pressure, tuberculosis, STIs, as well as HIV and AIDS. Now, some of the lifestyle diseases that we're going to be looking into today are cancers, um, both that affect both women and men, and those that affect only women and those that only affect men as well. We're going to be looking at hepatitis B. We're going to be looking at hypertension, diseases of the heart and the circulatory system, tuberculosis, as well as HIV and AIDS. Um, and obviously, guys, we know that we need to encourage and try to live as healthy as possible and exercise so that we can prevent these lifestyle diseases and also stray away from getting into risky behaviors such as drinking alcohol, um, you having sex without using protection, as well as just generating and including exercise into our lives as well, because we are what we eat. And a lot of um, a lot of people want to get into this whole gym life, which is fantastic, but we all know that it's only 20% gym, and more 80% of what we eat and what we put into our body. So it's so important that we make sure that we always eat healthy, that we have our vegetables, that we drink 2 liters of water each and every day, that we exercise all the time. And like I said yesterday, if we don't look after our bodies, we could experience physical stresses, which are ailments to the body, which can really deteriorate our performance in school and our performance in our work life as well. They could also bring about emotional stresses, because we do know that if we eat the wrong food, we do not perform at our best, and that could bring a whole lot of fear and anxiety and other emotional defects that we might experience as well. So, let's start with the first lifestyle disease. The first one is cancers, the different types of cancers. Cancers are a range of diseases in which abnormal cells increase and spread out of control. Cervical cancer, which obviously just only affects women because only women have a cervix, is a cancer arising from the cervix. It is due to the normal growth of the cells that have the ability to invade or spread to other parts of the body. Earlier on, typically, no symptoms are seen. Later symptoms may include abnormal vaginal bleeding, pelvic pain or pelvic pain or pain during sexual intercourse. While bleeding after sex may not be serious, it may also indicate the presence of cervical cancer. And how women can also just make sure that they do not grow these cancer cells, or it does not spread out. It can be prevented by constantly going for a check at the clinic or a doctor. This check is also known as a pap smear. So women are vulnerable to cervical cancer, which is almost caused by human papillomavirus, which is HPV infection. It is a cancer that forms in the tissues of the cervix, the organ connecting to the uterus as well as the vagina as well. It is usually a slow-growing cancer that may not have symptoms but can be found with regular screening as well. Now let's have a look at lung cancer. We all know that there's a whole lot of cautions, and yesterday there was, we know that the ban of the sale of cigarettes has now still in place, even with level 4 stage going in tomorrow. And a lot of people, have started causing uproar on social media and on Twitter, um, raising their frustration with regards to them not being able to consume or use cigarettes anymore. And we know that a lot of people are using this as a coping mechanism for stress and anxiety and all sorts of things. But we do know that this is wrong. We do not encourage smoking at all. It really does mess up with your lungs. So lung cancer is also known as lung carcinoma, and is a malignant lung tumor characterized by uncontrolled cell growth tissues of the lung. This growth can spread beyond the lung by the process of the metastasis into nearby tissues or other parts of the body. Most cancers that start in the lung are known as primary lung cancers. Um, the two main types are small lung cancer, which is carcinoma, as well as small cell carcinoma as well. The most common symptoms are coughing, weight loss, shortness of breath, as well as chest pains as well. Now, just something that is very interesting is that for you to learn is that women are more vulnerable to the effects of smoking than men. Women develop lung cancer with lower levels of smoking compared to men as well. So women who smoke 3 to 5 cigarettes per day may double their risk of lung cancer, which is very, very risky as well. So there's a picture right in front of your screen of how a healthy lungs should look like and how a smoker's lung look like, and this is really not where we're trying to get to as well. And then let's have a look at prostate cancer. Again, this only affects men because it's only men that have a prostate. So prostate cancer starts at the male prostate gland. This is a small gland that is part of the male reproductive system. It wraps around the urethra, which is the tube that carries urine from the body. Some of the symptoms of prostate cancer include a delay or slow start to urination, which is peeing, a slow urinary stream, dribbling or urine leaks after urinating, and an inability to empty out all the urine, blood in the urine or in the semen, bone pain, as well as lower back and pelvic bones. So this is a really, really serious issue, and a lot of men, again, where culture plays a part, is a lot of men actually don't like to go to the doctor and getting themselves checked as well. And we know that prostate cancers grow very slowly, but some can grow quite quickly as well. And the cancer cells spread from the prostate to other areas of the body. Um, in the later stages, it can lead to difficulty in peeing, like I've said earlier, and a disease known to the brain, prostatic hyperplasia, may produce similar symptoms. Other late symptoms may include the feeling of being fatigued or lethargic due to the low levels of the red blood cells. Now, let's have a look at hepatitis B. And hepatitis B is the most common serious liver infection in the world. Chronic hepatitis B infection can lead to liver disease as well as liver cancer as well. The liver is an important organ that filters toxins out of the body or out of the blood and makes substances fight infections. About half of the people who have hepatitis B show no symptoms, but they can be carriers of hepatitis B virus, which is also known as HBV. Some of the symptoms of hepatitis B is flu-like symptoms, fatigue, itchiness, no appetite, dark urine, pain on the right side of your body under the ribs, vomiting and feeling nauseous, and jaundice as well. We know that jaundice is the liver, it affects the liver, and that is when your palms and your eyes are quite yellowish as well. And we know this is actually quite a common um, disease. All right, let's have a look at hypertension. What are the most common ones that we know of? And that is also, it's also known as high blood pressure, like I mentioned earlier on. It is a long-term medical condition in which the blood pressure in the arteries is persistently elevated. High blood pressure typically does not cause any symptoms. Long-term high blood pressure, however, is a major risk factor of the coronary artery disease, stroke, heart failure, atrial fibrillation, as well as peripheral vascular disease, vision loss, chronic disease, kidney disease, as well as dementia as well. Now we know that a lot of this affects a whole lot of black South Africans as well, and I've got a history of people in my family who suffer from hypertension, and it really is just not nice to know that people can actually be on a chronic medication and take medication all the time to look after themselves, and that's the sort of life that we don't want to live. And we can prevent this by having less salt in our food, by exercising and eating the right food. The healthier food you eat, the better it is for you to sort of prevent yourself from these type of lifestyle diseases. Now let's have a look at the circulatory system, also called the cardiovascular system or the vascular system. Is an organ system that permits blood to circulate or transport nutrients such as amino acids as well as electrolytes, oxygen, carbon dioxide, hormones, and blood cells to and from the cells of the body to provide nourishment and help in fighting diseases. They also help with stabilizing temperature and pH levels and maintain homeostasis. The leading condition contributing to circulatory disease is hypertension. So this links very well with high blood pressure as well. And heart disease occurs in many forms. The most common form of coronary heart disease is the ischemic heart disease. So this can cause a whole lot of um, issues for a lot of people and can cause stroke and a lot of cardiac arrest as well. Now let's have a look at TB. Now we also know TB um, as it spreads through the airborne infections and droplets as well. And it's also another common disease that we know of. For example, when infectious people cough, through sneezing or spitting, they move TB bacteria into the air. People living with HIV are much more at greater risk of developing TB because their immune system cannot withstand the TB bacteria. Pulmonary or lung TB is most common and the most contagious form of active TB, but TB can occur in almost any other part of the body. The TB bacillia reduces and causes inflammation and tissue destruction until you show the symptoms of TB. Some of the pulmonary TB symptoms include coughing for more than 2 weeks or even longer than that, blood in the sputum, so that's in your spit, fever with a high temperature and night sweats, loss of appetite and weight, chest pains, tiredness, which is fatigue and feeling lethargic as well as shortness in breath as well. And obviously, because this affects the lungs as well, it does not help anyone who smokes as well, because you might cough for a really long time. And we do know that there is medication to help cure TB, but we do know that it may reoccur later on in your life. And then another one which is very common to South Africans, and mainly because of the fact that people and a lot of cultures do not encourage people to use condoms or protection during whilst having sex. Sexually transmitted infections then occur. These are also referred to as sexually transmitted diseases, are infections that are commonly spread by sexual activity, especially vaginal intercourse, anal sex, as well as oral sex as well. Many times STIs initially do not cause symptoms. This results in greater risk of passing the disease on to other people, obviously through the lack or no use of condoms as well. Symptoms and signs of diseases may include vaginal discharge, penile discharge, ulcers on and around the genitals, and pelvic pain as well. STIs can be transmitted to an infant before or during childbirth and may result in poor outcomes of the baby. For example, do you know that if the mother has an STI or has syphilis, for example, syphilis is an STI, the mother has STI, there's a big chance that the child could be born blind as well. Some STIs may cause problems with the ability to get pregnant as well. So there's a lot of STIs that we know of, such as gonorrhea, syphilis, um, and chlamydia. Those are just some of the most popular types of STIs. But again, we do encourage people to use a condom when they are having sex, and to test regularly and to visit their doctors to make sure that they do not have or are carriers of this, so that not only do they protect themselves from it spreading and causing other lifestyle diseases, but also to protect the people that are sexually in a relationship with as well. And then another one that has really high numbers in South Africa, and it's really disheartening to see the numbers grow, is then obviously HIV as well as AIDS. So you guys know that the acronym HIV and AIDS it stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus as well as Acquired Immunodeficiency Virus. And this is a spectrum of conditions caused by an infection with human immunodeficiency virus. Following initial infection, a person may not notice any symptoms or may experience a brief period of influenza-like illness, obviously feeling fluish there. Typically, this is followed by a prolonged period with no symptoms. As the infection progresses, it interferes more with the immune system. Obviously, we know that it makes your immune system really weak and it makes you more prone to getting other forms of lifestyle diseases. Um, These late symptoms of infection are referred to as acquired immunodeficiency virus. This stage is often also associated with unintended weight loss as well. And we do know there's a whole lot of stigma with people, um, being, sorry, I'm just got distracted there. There's, cultures again do not encourage the use of condoms, and we do know that this is how, or this is commonly how HIV can spread. So it's so important that we do know how we can protect ourselves as well as prevent HIV and AIDS. And remember, I spoke to you the last time in the last lesson about how you can actually take, for example, in an instance where you have been raped, you need to visit the nearest clinic or the doctor, so that you can get tested, and then the doctor will then put you on what is called PEP, which is the medication that you take after you've been exposed to HIV and AIDS to stop the spread of the virus into your body. And you know, it's so important that you guys know about these things and how to prevent yourselves. You know, there's other medications such as PrEP that has been introduced as for people who know they might be exposed to HIV and AIDS, to prevent it to prevent them from getting the virus. But we know that it does not work 100%, and there's absolutely no cure for HIV and AIDS. And you know, this is a disease that can last, or a virus that can last for a really long time, and we really don't want um, to live with this sort of virus for in our lives as well. And we need to take extra precautionary measures to make sure that we do not fall under the numbers as well. And even if we do, let's use this information to sort of help us in how we can live with the virus, as well as help others by informing more and more people. You know, there's a whole lot of fake news, or um, a whole lot of ways of which people talk about HIV and AIDS, and how people are stigmatized, and we need to stop that in our societies as well. All right, let's look at lifestyle diseases as a result of poverty and gender imbalances. So we know that poverty means not having enough money to provide for your basic needs. A household of four with an income of less than 2,000 rand per month lives below the poverty line and cannot meet the basic needs. And these basic needs, um, the main disease of poverty are TB, HIV, and AIDS, and malnutrition as well. And poverty results in poor sanitation, food insecurity, people reusing oil in cooking, overcrowding due to inadequate houses, people suffering from hypertension due to stress, lack of access to safe sources of energy, which is electricity as well, women being forced to engage in sex for money in order for them to survive. And obviously we know that there's a whole lot of rape culture as well in our societies. Guys, again, I would like for you to please do not open up your videos. And if you have any questions, please pop them up into the chat box as well. Let's have a look at some of the results of poverty, and I want you to tell me, what are the results of poverty? Please let me know in the chat box. But you know, for the case of time, I'm just going to go through just some of the results, the poverty results, or the results that come through poverty. And it's poor sanitation and the lack of water, and like I said, food insecurity, and a whole lot of other stuff. Please let me know of other ways or other results of poverty as well into the chat box, and I'll read them towards the end of our lesson. All right, now let's have a look at the contributing factors and intervention strategies to these lifestyle diseases. Now, I've got a table here, and I'll make it available to you guys as well. But let's have a look at unsafe sex. We know the example is you get it through having sex without a condom, or having multiple partners, and at risk. When you are HIV positive, you're more at risk of cervical cancer, or in women, STIs, HIV, as well as hepatitis B. Another lifestyle factor is poor eating habits, eating too much fat, especially animal fats, not eating enough food, healthy food that is nutritious, high levels of salt intake, lack of calcium, potassium, and magnesium in food intake, and a lack of vitamin D. And then you're more at risk of prostate cancer for men, TB, hypertension, which is also high blood, and obviously hypertension diseases and heart and circulatory system disease that you might be at risk of. And then let's have a look at substance abuse. And examples of these is alcoholism, and the use of drugs as well. This may cause prostate cancer in men, as we do know that smoking weed and using drugs does affect your sperm count as well, which also might lead to you not being able to reproduce sperm cells anymore, which means that you will become infertile as a man. TB, hypertension, diseases of the heart, circulatory system, as well as hepatitis B as well. And then let's look at tobacco use. Those people who smoke, This may cause hypertension, TB, diseases of the heart, lung cancer, and chronic bronchitis. Chewing tobacco or using snuff, um, it may cause cancer of the mouth, lips, esophagus, and the pancreas. And the lack of exercise may lead to, which also talks about not doing enough respiratory and aerobic exercise. You may be at risk of hypertension, diseases of the heart and circulatory system as well. There's a whole lot of other ones as well that we are going to be discussing in the next lesson. Um, but the intervention strategies is a way in which we can help other people and get other people involved. There are many things that we can do to try and avoid human factors that can cause ill health and accidents, as well as crises and disasters like we've mentioned in the past. For example, the prevention and the control of two basic effective measures: early detection or the discovery in another important strategy. So treatments as well as care and support are necessary to deal with these diseases as well. Many of the following intervention strategies that we're going to be talking about just now to counter lifestyle diseases have been proposed by the World Health Organization, and in South Africa is leading the way of many of these. For example, they've already banned the advertising of smoking, and obviously now during COVID-19, the sale of smoking has also decreased as well. And they also put high taxes, which is also known as sin tax, on the sale of cigarettes as well. They also put warning signs on the dangers of smoking on cigarette packs and raised taxes on tobacco products as well. Some of the other intervention strategies that we may not be aware of that I just want to enlighten you of is protecting people from smoking tobacco, as well as educating people about the healthy lifestyle. If you guys know of any other intervention strategies that help us in preventing all these lifestyle diseases that we've spoken about today, please enlighten me in the chat box as well. Educating people about healthy lifestyle choices, educating people about STIs and HIV. I mean, we learn about it each and everywhere where we go. Um, Even companies raise awareness and put a budget aside in educating their workers about HIV and AIDS, as we know that if people are ill from this particular lifestyle disease, it really does affect how they work, and if their work is affected, it really affects how much of the profit that a business can make. They've also worked hard in reducing the stigma that is against people who are HIV or who are infected with HIV and AIDS, and promoting the testing of HIV and AIDS as well. They also encourage us to exercise regularly and educating people about the importance of going for screenings and tests as well, limiting the access of alcohol. We do know that in COVID-19 times that there is no sale of alcohol as well, because we do know that it makes your immune system very weak, which makes it very difficult for your body to fight off this virus as well. They've also banned the alcohol advertising, and there's restrictions on it as well. Raising taxes on alcohol, again, it's also included in the sin tax or excise tax. Promoting community awareness about nutrition. So we do know that there's a whole lot of nutritional programs and interventions that are taken up by our communities, especially local government. Um, and also, there's also intervention in telling people to reduce their salt intake as in their food, because we do know, again, it causes hypertension as well. Replacing trans fats in food with polyunsaturated fats as well. Um, so we need to look at how we can avoid and abstain as well as adapt. Prevention means to stop something from happening. And the best way to prevent or lower the risk of lifestyle diseases is to avoid the habits that contribute towards them, such as smoking and risky sexual behavior. For example, to prevent these diseases of heart circulatory system, we need to avoid all tobacco products and get regular exercise and keeping healthy weight, or go for regular health screenings as well. Guys, it's so important that we try and make sure that we live a healthy lifestyle as well. And as promised, guys, I've got a PT video for you, and I hope you guys will be able to take part in it. And I hope you include in your time and in your eating plans that you also include exercising as well, because we do know how imperative it is and the benefits of it as well. We get to perform better in our schoolwork, we get to live longer, and it's really just fun as a recreational activity as well. And I hope you guys will join me after 5 minutes of playing this video. We may have a problem with sound, but do not despair, as this will be available to you guys much later on. right, guys. I really hope that you guys enjoyed that PT session, and I hope you guys will include exercising into your normal lives so that we can help prevent these lifestyle diseases. Tomorrow is a holiday, and I hope you guys enjoy Workers' Day and remembering all the people that are, especially the essential workers, that are still doing a very, very brilliant job in making sure that we stay healthy and we're looked after in hospitals. Thank you so much for joining me in today's lesson. Next week, we're going to be talking, next week, Monday, we're going to be discussing more on lifestyle diseases and contributing factors as well as other intervention strategies as well. Thank you so much for joining me today. Here are my details if you would like to contact me, and I will see you guys bright and early on Monday. Enjoy your weekend and have a blessed and delightful weekend. Cheers, guys. Bye bye.